Ever since this idea of poison got introduced in the Destiny back in Destiny 1 with the Thorn hand cannon, we've gotten some cool progression from there, with the Thorn being in Destiny 2, the Osteo Striga SMG, and the Necrotic Grip exotic gauntlets for the Warlock. And even though a lot of us veterans wanted a poison subclass, I believe we got something even better with the Strand subclass with Lightfall. So in this video, I want to give you guys the best of both worlds, poisoning a bunch of targets while also having great ad control with the Strand subclass. Now, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about two exotics that work really well with this build. So first up is the Necrotic Grip exotic gauntlets. So it's per Grasp of the Devourer. Damaging combatants poisons them, dealing increased damage over time. Defeating a poison combatant spreads the condition. Also, it provides a moderate benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of all weapons of sorrow. The exotic weapon we're using is the Osteo Striga submachine gun. So I believe the only way to have this is the Witch Queen Deluxe Edition. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I believe that's the only way you can have this thing. So its intrinsic trait, Screaming Swarm, fires a stream of sentient toxic projectiles that track the targeted enemy. And what's really cool is that this is craftable, so you can change out the barrel, the magazine, and the stock. But the other two perks kind of stay, the trait perks. So first up is Toxic Overload. Landing a final blow or multiple precision hits triggers a burst that poisons nearby targets. And then also the Osteo Striga Catalyst. So this is like why it can be masterwork. So poison final blows return ammo to the magazine. Now let's go over what I'm using under the Broodweaver Strand Warlock subclass. So again, for the super, we have Needle Storm here. It's the only one we can choose from. Just the missiles that fly out everywhere. I love this super. It sounds great too. Sound design, on point. Ability wise, I'm going with the Healing Rift here for the class ability. For the movement ability, I got Burst Glide, but use what you want. We only have the one melee, which is Arcane Needle. And then the most important thing out of this entire build, the Shackle Grenade. So technically, it's a thrown weapon of weighted strand matter that detonates on impact, suspending targets and creating additional suspending sub-projectiles. So, suspend. The target is immobilized by a web of strand matter, lifting them into the air. While suspended, guardians are unable to move freely, combatants are unable to move or fire their weapon, and unstoppable champions are stunned. Suspended targets unwind into a tangle when defeated. So, suspend is going to be the main thing with this build. But the reason the Shackle Grenade is so important is because of the aspect Mind Spung Invocation. So this pretty much gives us certain benefits to the Grapple, the Threadling Grenade, and the Shackle Grenade. With the Shackle Grenade specifically, if we hold our grenade button to consume the Shackle Grenade, it activates a perk called Weaver's Trance. Final blows while Weaver's Trance is activated create a suspending detonation. So again, when you kill that target, like this little strand suspend thing goes out and there's targets nearby, they get suspended, which is just freaking disgusting. And obviously the other aspect we have here is Weaver's Call. Not great for this build, so I'm very excited for new aspects to come out, but pretty much cast your Rift to weave 3 Threadlings and deploy any Threadlings that you have perched. For our fragments, first up, I have Thread of Warding. Picking up an orb of power grants Woven Mail minus 10 to resilience. In Woven Mail, your body is encased in protective mesh of tightly woven strand matter, greatly reducing any incoming non-precision damage. Pretty much more damage resistance, and also stacks on after tier 10 resilience, which is really nice. Next up, we have Thread of Mind. Defeating suspended targets gains class ability energy. So any of those suspended targets we defeat, we're going to get our Healing Rift back even faster. Next is Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy, minus 10 to discipline. Any damage, whether it's abilities or weapons, again, that's going to give us a faster grenade recharge. And then lastly, Thread of Wisdom. Defeating suspended targets with precision final blows creates an orb of power. So any of those targets that are suspended, defeating with a precision kill, that's an orb of power. You can also switch out Thread of Wisdom for another good one, which is Thread of Continuity. Basically, Suspend, Unravel, and Sever, which are the 3 debuffs on Strand. Any of those effects that are applied to targets have an increased duration, and you get a plus 10 to strength. Next, let's go over the armor mods that I'm using. First up, and most important, is Kinetic Siphon. Rapid kinetic weapon final blows create an orb of power. So we're going to be using Osteo Striga a lot for this. Now, the second one that is important is Heavy Ammo Finder. Increases the drop chance of heavy ammo on a kill. And then lastly, this one's kind of up to you. So I have on Void Siphon since I'm using Void special weapons, but I would recommend putting on a Siphon that matches like whatever weapons you're using, whether they're Arc, Stasis, Solar, you know, whatever. Or you can switch it out for Heavy Ammo Scout. So when one of your ammo finder perks creates a brick of heavy ammo for you, it also creates bricks of heavy ammo for your allies. So again, you can kind of switch this one out here, but highly recommend Kinetic Siphon and Heavy Ammo Finder on the helmet. On the gauntlets here, I'm rocking 1 Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack, and then I'm rocking 2 Impact Inductions, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. On the chest piece, you can honestly use whatever you like, whether you want to rock, you know, triple resistance mods, you know, a bunch of reserve mods. Again, I have Void Reserves on because I'm using void weapons. But again, I'd recommend putting on, arc reserves, solar reserves, any other reserve mod that you're going to be using for specific weapons. Again, you can put on any of those, but I would recommend 2 reserves and at least 1 resistant mod with whatever activity you're doing. On the boots, one important one here is kinetic weapon surge. Again, with the new armor changes and changes to how like Charge of Light works, it's called armor charge now. So collecting an orb of power causes you to gain 1 temporary armor charge. And again, we can have a max up to 3 armor charges with this build. Your kinetic weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. So with 1 armor charge, it's 10 seconds. If we have 3, once that 10 seconds goes down on 1, it drops to 2. That's 10 seconds. So we have 30 seconds of this damage buff, which is nice. Now, if you wanted to rock double kinetic weapon surge, you could, or I have void weapon surge on here because I'm using void weapons. Again, like I mentioned before with the other ones, if you're going to be using arc weapons, solar weapons, whatever, you can also rock that here. Then lastly, I have recuperation, replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power, or if you want to get your grenade back faster, you could do innervation, reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. And then lastly on the class item, I'm rocking double bomber, reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability, and then also reaper. After using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. Now for some stats for you to focus on, again, I always say this for every video, try to have tier 10 resilience. Tier 10 resilience is always good, or 100 resilience, whatever. It gives you a 30% damage reduction. So this is very key in majority of PvE activities. And then the second one I'd focus on is discipline. Again, discipline is tied to your grenade cooldown. So again, you want to have that shackle grenade as fast as possible, even though we have multiple ways to get it back fairly quickly. Again, higher discipline is just going to be better here. Now for some weapon options, like I said, we want to be using Osteo Striga here. If you don't have Osteo Striga for this, again, it might not work as effectively, but you could also try out Thorn. Again, Thorn has the same poison effect and works with Necrotic Grip. It's just Osteo Striga works out very, very well with this build, especially with the spread of poison. And then for your special and heavy, you can honestly use what you want. Like I said, since I have all these, void siphon, void reserves, void weapon surge, again, I want to be using void weapons. So if you're using arc or solar weapons or whatever, make sure to have those mods on that correspond with these weapons. If you're not catching the synergy here, I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability, but honestly, it's all about just having that shackle grenade ready to consume, and then you can just suspend everything. So let's just start from the top. Let's say you're about to enter an engagement. What you want to do is consume that shackle grenade because of Mind Spongification. Now you're going to get Weaver's Trance. So any of those final blows that you get while Weaver's Trance is active, it'll create a suspending detonation. So again, you're going to be using Osteo Striga here. So let's say you get a kill with Osteo Striga. Any enemies around, number 1, are going to get suspended, and also number 2, with Osteo Striga's perk, landing a final blow or multiple precision hits triggers a burst that poisons nearby targets. So instead of you having to damage one target and you suspend all the others and then damage another, Osteo Striga pretty much has the AoE, the add control with the toxic poison effects. So those targets are already taking damage on top of that. So now that you're suspending targets and poisoning them to death, what's going to happen? So first up, Threat of Mind. Again, defeating those suspended targets is going to grant class ability energy. With Threat of Generation, dealing damage, any damage, will generate that grenade energy. Then also with Threat of Wisdom, if you're using it, if you decide to get any precision final blows, again, that'll create an orb of power, or if you're using the Threat of Continuity, they will stay suspended for longer. Now, we're also going to be creating orbs of power with Osteo Striga and our other weapons, whether it's with Kinetic Siphon or Void Siphon, whatever siphon you're using, like I mentioned. But let's just say we're going to be using Kinetic Siphon. So again, we get multiple kills with Osteo Striga. That's going to spawn an orb of power. Now what happens? So first up, with Threat of Warding, we're going to gain Woven Mail. So again, we're going to have even more damage resistance on top of that. Again, any orb of power that we collect, now we have an armor charge that's going to last 10 seconds. So Kinetic Weapon Surge and our other Weapon Surge are going to kick in, allowing our weapons to deal more damage in general. And also collecting an orb is going to allow recuperation to give us health regen. So there's not really a great way to get health regen with this build in general. Again, this is going to be really key when we go to create orbs. So let's say Weaver's Trance is out and we do not have a shackle grenade. What are our options? So with our gauntlets, with impact induction, any melee hits that we get with the Arcane Needle is going to give us a faster grenade cooldown. Plus, Focusing Strike is going to kick in, allowing for our class ability to come back faster. Speaking of class ability, a couple things are going to happen. When we pop that Healing Rift, Bomber is going to kick in, so we're going to get grenade energy back instantly on that. We also have Reaper, so the next weapon kill we get is going to create an orb of power. And with Weaver's Call, 3 Threadlings are going to spawn out, which is just going to be absolutely disgusting. The main thing with this build, it's fairly simple. Honestly, the only thing you have to do is survive, get that grenade, consume it, and use Osteo Striga on everything. This will suspend everything. This will poison everything. You pretty much have the ultimate ad control Strand subclass here. It's disgusting how effective it is, especially when there's crowds of enemies. Like, I did not think I was going to like using it, but honestly, I enjoy using it for raids and fairly tougher content as well, because being able to effectively stun enemies with the suspend so they just don't even shoot you is just so broken and so overpowered that you have to be using this in some higher tier activities. If not this, or like Starfire Protocol build, like, it's between these two for me. In any event, ladies and gentlemen, that is my Poison Warlock Strand build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm also going to put the dim link in the comments so you can put on everything that I have on, as long as you have the exotics and, you know, certain fragments unlocked on the Strand subclass. Let me know what you guys think. Is there a couple things maybe I could have switched out? Is there something that you find a little more effective with this build? Again, leave those in the comments. I'm definitely willing to hear you out. I'm testing stuff in this game all the time. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another build video here on the channel. If you didn't know, we actually stream on YouTube, and we're also going to be streaming on Twitch and Kick as well. We're going to be testing out a couple things, but that is going to be Tuesdays and Fridays are guaranteed, and then we also have Wednesdays and Thursdays. We switch on and off depending on my work schedule. But again, if you want to stay up to date with the schedule, I also put it in my Discord. Again, that link will be in the description. That's where we're going to be talking about Destiny 2. That's where we're going to be meeting up for raids, PvP, and a bunch of other activities as well. Or we're just there to vibe out. So again, if you would like to join my Discord, we're talking about games, PC tech, anime, and more. And lastly, if you didn't know, we hit YouTube Partner here on the channel, which is just freaking awesome. Again, it's given us access to a lot of cool things here on the channel. One of those things being memberships. If you don't know what a membership is, it is essentially like a Twitch subscription. Again, you're going to gain access to the exclusive emotes, the monthly badges, and other cool things here on the channel. So if you would just like some more information, all you have to do is press the enjoy button next to subscribe, and that'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Crow, the children back at the farm are asking after you.